Hey guys, my name is Bailey Bender, and today I will be giving you an informative speech on women's rights. Women's rights and the feminist movement are two important parts of our history that are usually studied only in women's studies classes. The importance of these movements have changed and shaped the way that the modern world runs. In this speech, I'll be telling you about the importance of the three different waves of feminist movement, which has led us to where we are today. There's the first wave, the second wave, and the third wave, and they're all very different, and they lead up to our modern day feminists. The first wave of feminism is called the Women's Rights Movement, where NAWSA and the NWA originally were women's interest groups and organizations that formed that were called the National American Women's Suffrage Association. This group was made up of many. Excuse my animal. This group was made up of many women who had politically active husbands, typically women who thought they could gain power by the places that their husbands were at, men that were in Congress or stuff like that. So these women thought that just because of where their husbands were in life, that they could gain power because of them. And this was from the LeMay article from 2008. These women didn't want to plan or do anything radical necessarily, like protests or fights. They simply wanted to sit back and write letters to people and just assume that they could gain suffrage by doing pretty much nothing. They wanted to wait for equality to come to them, while at the same time there were other women that believed that they needed to fight for equality. Women such as Alice Paul and Lucy Burns. These were two women that broke off of NAWSA and created their own women's suffrage group called the National Women's Association. These two women were known for picketing the White House during Woodrow Wilson's presidency and doing lots of different radical things to get suffrage. They wound up in prison for a little bit and did different types of protesting whilst they were in prison to get noticed. Trials and tribulations that many women worked directly in the front lines of women's rights movements were punished for crimes that they didn't even commit. Many women, like Alice Paul and Lucy Burns, were sent to work mills and prisons for simply holding signs, and some were wrongfully tortured for protesting. Women were sent to mental institutions because they did a hunger strike that people thought that they were crazy, and they repeated a phrase often during this strike, inside of the prisons, was "Give me liberty or give me death." This is from an HBO documentary. So moving on to the second wave of feminism, this is where voting rights were an important aspect of the second wave. Women just got the right to vote thanks to Alice Paul and Lucy Burns for protesting, but getting women to actually get out and vote was the hard part. The second wave feminists were tormented through the hands of major media programs, making their goals and actions seem less than they really were. And this was how the media and the government really got women to not vote, and actually wound up in the long run helping the women's movement, because after women gained the right to vote, they finally realized, okay, this is my chance to make a change. They used the frameworking to portray women as less than and not having a capable political vote. And this was from the Bronstein article of 2005. This really portrayed it in the media that women couldn't vote and they were incapable of making the same equal decisions that men were able and capable of making. And this made it really hard for women to actually get out there to the polls. But the second wave feminism is obsessed with the Constitution and consumption, which limits their political activist movements, and actions follows. This is from Hollow 2013. Moving on to the third wave of feminism, they really questioned, reclaimed, and redefined ideas and words that media made about them. And during the second wave, they really focused on how gender equality revolves not around equal pay, but also revolving around the different kinds of women, whether they are born a woman or identify as a woman from birth, or from how they have changed their lives as they've grown. They also discuss modern ideas of feminism. Specific people bring relevance to this audience. So in conclusion, women have grown as a community so much over the past 100 years. As time changed, many things are different from the way that they were before women actually gained the right to vote. And it's so important to remember and to realize the different things that they have gone through to get us to where we are today. So thank you for listening.